upon a time, a young lady wanted to study law. Initially, she wanted to study medicine, but Nigeria jammed her. And she eventually found her way into the arts. But eventually, even law did not work out. She ended up studying English as her first degree. And after studying that first degree, she ended up in the media space. I'm talking about myself. You're welcome to Media Talks with me, Adebisi Adetunji. This is everything media, encouraging, challenging, motivating media professionals like myself to do so much more for themselves. Now, why did I start out with my story of not being able to study law? Yes, because I have someone in the house who incidentally, her first degree is law. She succeeded where I didn't succeed. She succeeded in studying the profession, law. However, she ended up just right where I ended up, in the media profession. She is a senior broadcast journalist on Channels TV, Channels Television. Her portfolio includes serving as a nutrition advocate, as a technical communication advisory to the chair of the National Council on Nutrition, that is the highest governing body in Nigeria, providing overarching policy direction for food and nutrition security. And of course, she is a member Chartered Institute of Arbitration. Her name is, and I'm talking of no other person than Milliscent Nnwoka. She has over 12 years experience as a development journalist working in the media space. I don't want to say everything about her. She's going to be talking about herself, but right about now, let me make welcome Milliscent Nnwoka to the Media Talks show. I'm so glad to have you here.
Thank you. It's quite strange to hear my native name because I usually use, my English name, Millicent, rather than Adama. Anyone that calls me Adama, I'm like, okay, family. Must be related to my mom or my dad, or there must be some sort of history, primary school history. Yes,
I
that
think
is my native.
I loved that name, Adama. Sounds really, really sweet. Yes.
But it would interest you to know that even in my journey into media, the name came up. Which name you want to go for, Adama or Millicent? But my mentor at the time, Adebisi Adetunji, said, "Oh no, Millicent has a bite to it, Millicent."
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, let's work with Millicent. I mean, it's still my name, so there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you for the introduction. It's also very interesting that for a number of successful broadcasters or journalists, they have somehow along the line, they were rerouted. They had either studied something in sciences and now found themselves doing, communications. And, your story is really similar to mine. And mine, maybe a hint of a hue of difference is that I got admission. Well, I just didn't know what I wanted to study. Some people at the beginning, they probably knew, oh, I want to be a businesswoman. I want to be a pharmacist. I want to work in a bank. I felt, okay, you know what? I can do anything. But what would I like to do? And so I said, okay, maybe arts, maybe sciences. I really wasn't sure. My GSSC, I had B parallel. And I thought that would be a pointer to help me know, okay, you want to go into the sciences, you want to go into the arts. But no. And so I think I allowed circumstances take me on. So when I got that result, when I was waiting for the results from the GSSC, my father was like, oh, all your siblings are in the sciences. He wants medical doctors, he wants engineers. So I think you should go there as the first daughter of 5. And my mom was like, why don't you just allow her? He says, no, she should be there. And so I went into the sciences. But after a while, they were like, "Oh, your results aren't out yet. Are you sure you belong? I think you should go to the commercial." And so it was a public school, government school. So, things were a bit scattered. And so I moved to the business side. We're doing commerce, accounts. I was really comfortable. I was already class captain. And then my results came out and they said, "Oh, you did great. I think you can go into the sciences." And then I was already happy with accounting,
by then you had
commerce.
discovered what you wanted a little bit.
Yes, and I've been doing them. I've sort of relaxed. We've started classes. I've made friends, and my mom spoke to my mom. Then my mom spoke to my dad, and they were like, "Okay, fine." And then that's when my father had the idea. Actually, you can be a lawyer. Yes, we can have a lawyer in the family. I didn't know he was setting me up.
They always have an idea of someone should be a medical doctor in the family, someone should be a lawyer, someone should be an accountant. Exactly. I think it happened in every Nigerian
I didn't know he was setting me up until typical. After my SSC, and then he said, "Oh, put law first choice, law second choice." But I was like, "Law?" And my mom was like, "Oh, she feels that Millicent she's very caring. She can be a good nurse in the medical, there's this school in Imo State, School of Nursing." And what was rampant then was, as a young girl, 16, 17, looking in her prime, there were some young men coming around, from Spain, all of these people. And, they were like, "Oh, nursing." And I told my mom, "No, mom, nursing? Yes, I'd like to be a nurse, only if you guys are going to send me abroad on my own. I'm not going to go there because of marriage." Oh, yes, things like that, happen in some families. And then they were like, my mom was like, "Well, marriage isn't so bad." I said, "Yes, but I want to go on my own terms."
On my own terms.
Because there were stories of, yes, I had friends and stories of, all these guys coming to the School of Nursing to marry women and then they go abroad. It was just, I didn't like any of those stories. And I made it my business to to sort of be aware of information. I contributed to radio programs as a student, even in my, SSC, the period between the SSC window and JAM and all of that. I contributed to all of that. So I was, quite aware of what I was doing, of, who I was, and, all of that. And so I said, so my dad said, well, he was only going to pay for law. It's either law or he's not paying for anything else.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So I said, okay, no problem. No knowledge is lost. That's also an attitude that I had. No knowledge is lost. Let's go in for this law. People say, "Oh, law can be tough. You get to study a lot." I mean, I like to study. In my not SS now, in my second year, my first year, there was this newspaper vendor by the Senate, the University of Lagos, which I went to. And the vendor he was always, he found it strange that I would go there to pick up a newspaper every day and pay him and study it. And so he always kept the paper for me. So this was some of my colleagues found it weird. They were like, "What's going on? No, this Millicent thing." So you like, I just do it. It was just something that came naturally to me. So my father said law, and so I went in for law. But media caught me by surprise along the way. There was a Unilag radio. It was quite new. There was the situation with the student union. There were so many strikes at the time. Unilag was also partaking. We lost a student union member one time. We went to our homes because they closed down the school for months. And I've never been one to be just sit down and do nothing. In fact, the meaning of my name, Millicent, means hard work. Sometimes when the work is too hard, I ask my parents, why did you guys give me this name? Must I be working all the time? All the time. So yes, honestly. So I said, "Oh, this is a break. I have this holiday. What can I do with it?" Joined the radio station, Unilag, I did, and I started reading the news. The boss then, Mr. Bello, very tough, said, "Oh, Millicent, I see you have potential. Go to the FRCN." FRC. And of course, my father was wondering, what is this girl planning? I'm planning law. You are planning something else.
You are applying
This
something else.
FRC money, I don't have money. Yes. I don't have money for it now. Maybe later. I had some savings. So I went and did it, while,
So you
doing other
sponsored
things.
yourself to FRCN training
Yes.
school by yourself.
FRCN, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
My dad wasn't aware of that. But my mom knew a lot that was going on. Okay, so school. So, I did that, got that. The man was impressed, puts me on prime time. A number of students knew that, oh, Millicent would be reading the news at 5, the news at 12. And this was within my classes, my lectures. So I sort of, everything together. I was able to blend. At some points in class, I think this was even my final year, I became the reader. Kama, we had Dr. Abugu, who was our CAC company's lecturer, company law lecturer. And he would want to read a particular section. And the next thing he would say, where's Adama? So my nickname was Adama Abugu because I would always be the one reading. When it says section 23, I had a special seat and then I would read out the section. And wonderful, wonderful. So I was a constant reader, even in class, on the air, Unilag FM, and then over a period of time. So Unilag FM wasn't the only thing that I did while in the University of Lagos. Some other holidays, my 300, 400, those breaks that we had a month or 2 months, I would always go out for auditions. Channels was having an audition for broadcasters. I'm a mere student, but I would take part. I would. Wow. The only thing I would tell them, especially when I got to MBI, I said, yes, I'm a student. I can work weekends. I'm free weekends. I don't have lectures weekends. I can come to work. I can assist. I was thirsty for knowledge. I was passionate about wanting to know more about the media, how it works. I knew that there was an advantage because the media also represents that outlet for helping people, shedding light to issues, and, essentially developing a country, especially like Nigeria, that so many things need to be better. The conditions are very poor compared to other developed nations. So adding, to that commonwealth, so to speak. So, there was that push. And so I pushed. I got into MBI. The interview was there. Gimba, who is my senior colleague, Gimba Omar is a and he said, oh no, this girl has potential. And Shiju Alabi was also there. She said, oh, I have potential. And it was now up to Stella Din, who was the controller then, to decide. And Stella was like, Millicent, okay, let's bring her in. And that's how I got into MBI during the long break of the strike for University of Lagos. I was paid, is it 5,000? But my mom was just as another support system, was like, money isn't the problem now. This is your learning ground. So they should just give you enough to take care of transportation and learn as much as you can. She was just happy that, yes.
You got something. Yes, I want to jump in here. So you actually got into like volunteer or intern or freelance, as we always say, on Channels TV while as a law student,
No. So as a law student, the whole year of being in law school was impossible. It's not one of the things that you can juggle.
So this was after.
So this was during the studying law in Unilag. So before my degree.
Oh, before you went into your first degree fully, you had volunteered and freelanced at Channels TV.
Yes. Fantastic. So not Channels now. So the opportunity with Channels was during the FRCN, which you have 2 days, you can train, 2 days training, internship. Yeah. So I did that with Channels, just 2 days, it was very short. Then one SCN, Lady SCN, beautiful woman, exquisite in terms of her diction. She believed that there was a chance, but they felt, oh, I was young, still in school, not ripe, and so I didn't get picked. So what I ended up doing was other places that I went to. MBI was the place that I worked while in school during my weekends, and yes, that extension, MBI, Minaj Broadcast International, was where I actually worked for the period until it was final year, and I sort of, and then they started having issues, and so it transcended into, making sure that you come out with a great grade, after graduation, 500 level, yes, and that. But that didn't stop. I transitioned to law school, focused strictly on law school, finished law school, went to service. I continued to. I would go to courts and introduce myself as Your Honor, Milliscent Nnwoka, for the defendants. And the judge would say, "Oh, Millicent, lawyer cum broadcast journalist," because I now had a law program on the Nasarawa Broadcasting Service.
Amazing.
So that was another place, yes, that I started, another type of broadcast, more specific now to law. So you see, it wasn't like I hated law and, I wasn't going to know. I was just like, there's opportunity everywhere. And I had that big picture, that big mind, that the world is big enough and the sky is not the limit. And so I could do anything I wanted with wherever it is I was or whatever it is that I was doing at the time.
Amazing. It's interesting to listen to your journey. It's a passion that you caught on to as a teenager, I believe, right? Yeah, you caught on to that as a teenager. And sometimes our parents don't see what a child could actually become. They mean well, but sometimes they don't really get it, right. My dad wanted me to study medicine. And of course, it's the let's have a doctor thing in the house. And, and I bet your dad is very proud of you right now,
Oh, my dad is number one. When I started coming to channels television, he would just tune in. I say, "Oh, have you seen just what did Casper now? That's my daughter."
Exactly.
He was always was braggadocious. It was everywhere. And it was very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I think one part that I noticed that spurred me as well and gave me that confidence was church. And being a Catholic, from a Catholic background, I was always on the pulpit reading the Word of God. So I was a lector at a very young age. So that in fact, from being a lecturer at that very young age, I made friends with bishops, Bishop of Ibadan, Father Debajo, Archbishop of Ekiti, a number of them, all who also encouraged me along the line. So, that whole starting, that beginning, that foundation, I can
launched
of course deny that. That
your
was very important.
self-discovery. Yeah, very important. I really loved, how you grew and how you pursued. I mean, I am so amazed at the determination, even when your dad was not willing to pay for FRCN. Incidentally, I actually did over 20 years in FRCN, working as at Radio Nigeria, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. So I attended the basic, advanced, intermediate, and advanced courses at the FRCN training school. So I pretty much know what you mean. And I celebrate you for that. Now, let's take it on to the profession. Now you are here. You are a senior broadcast journalist with Channels TV. Tell us what stands you out. Because again, everyone can be doing the same thing, but something stands other people out. What stands you out in your journey as a professional? More or less, I'm asking you, what's your secret? What's your secret? What has worked for you? What has helped you to grow in the profession?
So I think that the very essence would be the very basic of how I started. And this is a profession that I have, at a point in time, worked for a year without pay. But it's the same thing that has kept me going, that kept me going then and that still will keep you going, pay, no pay. And that is, the passion for the people, the passion for good, the passion for well-being, the passion for development, the passion to throw light on issues, people that don't have voices, to make their voice. You be the portal through which their voices can be heard. That is the most important thing and that should be the most important thing for any professional journalist. And that is what will make you go to Syria to cover the war, or Gaza, or anywhere on the world to talk about things that are happening to people, and for the betterment of the society. So I think that really has been key. In our world today, you can't say that you are a particular thing. Oh no, what I just do is I just report. Oh no, I'm just on the field. That's the only thing I do. No. Now you have to be so many things. And it's like the spaces, some would say it's shrinking, but I would say no, thanks to social media, thanks to the internet. There's so many other opportunities that are there, like the podcasts, like the spaces. There's so many things you can do. But it's shrinking in such a way that one particular specialty might not get you very far. You have to have so many arsenals at your disposal. You have to be a reporter. You have to be a news reader. You have to be able to produce what you do. You have to be able to produce and present what you do. You have to be able to edit. You're reading a story, it's breaking, the editor hasn't grasped what is going on, they've given you a script, and they've called the president of the United States in 2024 as Donald Trump. You're supposed to know that that's not correct. It's Joe Biden. So you're supposed to edit on the spot. So this they say the bulk stops at you, especially once you're on air and it's live. So it also brings me back to my background in law that talks about how you need to know a little about everything. You might not really need to know all of the law, but know where to find the law. So you need to know a little bit about everything, jack of all, to be able to fit into, and successfully so, in the media space as a journalist today.
All right. So I love what you've said, and I hear you saying some of your secret to rising in the profession is passion. Anyone can apply this. Versatility. You need to do more than just one thing in the profession. You can be a reporter. You should be talking about being a newsreader, a producer, a presenter, present what you are producing. You should also be able to edit as it's well. Of course, again, I would say you should also be able to acquire technical skills. Like I had to do that when I was on radio. I can do audio editing. And recently, of course, I've started to do video editing, which is why I edit this show myself, at least for now, right? So you have to be versatile as a media professional, and that's what I'm hearing in your conversation. Those are some of your secrets, and the conversation around the fact that the media space seems to be shrinking, but that the social media has given us a leverage to expand, because now there's an interface between the audio and the audiovisual. The digital, you are no longer just broadcasting to your small world or small community or small state or small Nigeria. It is now a global village. So anyone who must succeed in the profession should be thinking about how to, be versatile and really, really be a hands-on person who is able to do not just one thing, like you said, to be able to do so much more. Now, which brings me down to the fact that you are a female. You are a senior broadcast journalist on Channels Television. Walk us through what are your high points as a female journalist, and what has been some of the hurdles you have had to overcome to really stand out and make the best of your profession and grow in it.
So I think that high points and low points, if I heard that correctly, my high points as a female journalist is So perhaps I should circle back to my mindset, because that's really where it all starts, up here, for women and for men. And from the home that I came from, if a man could turn on the gen by drawing that rope, not the, you know, not putting on and off, but drawing that rope, a woman could do it as well. If a woman could cook in the house, my brothers could do the same thing. If my brothers could play football, I would be playing football with them as well. So that is the background. Thank goodness. Thank God for my dad and mom on that. So with that background, coming into, yeah, there is that passion. The high point has always been the opportunities and other women that I've met along the way, other very strong women. I say it today that I used to work with, and this is during the days at MBI, with three of the toughest women when it comes to broadcast journalists, who are still the very biggest today. And Chiju Alabi, Stella Din, and Mrs. Lara Weye Wise. And working with women isn't easy, but I think it was the best thing that happened to me, because I knew how to juggle with each of them dishing out their demands, a certain point of time, instructions, work related, But I know up to today, they still love me, for the whole thing. And I was focused. So I wasn't really, and I was busy. I'm not, that type lazing about doing, no, I want to learn. And that's why I was there. And so I learned from each of them. So learning, under them and coming to other establishments. When I came into Super Screen, it was Auntie Shiju from nowhere. How many years later that says, "Oh, Millicent, where are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just finished serving. I'm at the airport." She says, "Oh, I'm now a director, the broadcast. I think you should come in and audition for News at 10." I said, "And Shiju, I'm just finishing NY." She said, "No, she remembers the effort I put in back then, and she feels that, I can do it." So you see the relationship of then spurring me on, Super Screen. So that's when it started, that relationship. And then she left, and then we had Yemi C. Massey. And then from there, I transitioned to NN24. That didn't last very long, sadly. They were the ones who owed me for about a year and have still not paid.
Oh, wow.
And then I left to Cool Wazobia Info to do something different. It was the very first talk radio show in the country, and they gave me my own show. So I had 5 hours, and I needed to fill on the midday. Midday is one of the most difficult times for any radio station, because people are busy, they're work mode. So what are you going to say? What are you going to do that will interest them, that would get people to listen to you, that will keep your audience up in the ratings? Exactly. So, I had that task. I also worked with women for that period. And then transitioning to Channels. Channels has another very strong female who is the vice chairman, Shola Momo, who is great, passionate, and she knows the business. Of course, there is Dr. Momo. So Dr. Shola Momo is very strong. She sees capacity, capabilities, and she puts you there. Sometimes you're put there and you're not ready. You think you're not ready. Maybe they see something in you that you're not seeing. So they just say you're in the ocean. There you go. New fish, baby fish, swim. So that now depends on your zeal, on how much you can learn in such a short time. And then, you sort of thrive from there. Yes. So there is that guidance with having a female at that top level to really see your capacity, capabilities, fit you into where, they think you would flourish, and then watch yourself move, fly high. One of the low points, being a female throughout all of these times, is men when it comes to media, broadcast journalism. Sometimes they're always, you see, they're alpha males. They like to dominate a lot of the time. So you could be on air and they put you have a co-anchor, and it's one guy who's always firing questions, rapid questions, but he has forgotten that he has you as a female presenter, and it's supposed to be teamwork. Yes.
Yeah.
Teamwork. So we have a lot of alpha male. So one of the things you learn as a woman is to also become alpha female, to
Yeah,
compete.
right. I
Um,
like that.
yes, to compete. You can't just sit down and watch. But then you cannot lose yourself because you are a woman. I'm not
Yeah.
the type that says, because you're a woman, you should now dress like a man, do what men do,
Nah,
and lose your
nah.
essence, femininity. No. You can be strong, you can be firm, you can also shine in that very tiny space that you've been given, and then the whole world will be able to know what's really going on. So, some of those low points have been very strong female males who have tried to belittle or diminish or sort of put you down and say that you're not up to their standards, or you don't belong here, that is their stage. So for people like that, people in situations like that, there are always opportunities for that woman who is consistent, who is doing the work, who is trying a bit more, putting in the effort to shine at the end of the day, to even surpass such people.
Yeah, I love that. I totally love that. And I capture it in just 3 bullets. Don't lose yourself as a female. You can be, yes, you can be strong, but don't lose your femininity. And then of course, if you have alpha male who sometimes want to just put you in the back burner because you're a female, become an alpha female. Show that you know what you're doing, be consistent, put in the work, and of course, you will shine as much or even more than they are doing. I mean, and again, I say
Indeed.
you are not in competition with anyone, for the purpose of anyone watching, you're not in competition with anyone. You're not in, but you are in competition with yourself, and you owe it to yourself to be hardworking, like Millicent has said, to be consistent, to put in the work, to show that you have the stuff. And I think as female, once you can show that you have what it takes, the alpha male, they don't have a choice but to just step aside, because they know that this one knows what she's talking about, and she has got what it takes. So there is no competition here. So again, I hear that, I see that maybe in the years back there weren't many female journalists or broadcasters at the helm of affairs. But I think we have a lot of female who are taking on director roles, who are taking on, leadership roles. But do you think we have enough female in the profession taking on the leadership positions, like your boss now, Dr. Momo, Dr. Shola Momo? Do you think we have enough female in the media industry taking on real top leadership role? Or do you think there's still more we need to do?
I think that there is a lot more we can do. This question also sort of reminds me when we talk politics and we talk about women. Some people argue 35% affirmation. We need that to get more women in public office. But are there women who are capable of fitting those roles, in those seats? Are we going to put people who are not ready?
Yeah.
Because we have 35% affirmation. But there are women. Women are doing great today in schools.
Yeah.
Women are doing great in all fields, all sectors. There are women who are capable for these roles, but we, especially in these parts, I think there is a system of things which I think should change, and that is that the men are more capable in such roles. Women might be seen to be might not handle a lot of the stress that's involved because the women have families, and that's like an extension of themselves, and they might not be willing to sort of wake up at night. They're caring for their young ones. But I'm the kind of female that you can find me in the middle of the night breastfeeding my baby and listening to what's happening on television, the
Yeah.
latest, advising my colleague who is on air saying, oh, that's not the latest information. But then,
Yeah.
women are multitaskers. I think that they don't give us a lot of credit, and that's the male folk and maybe the system, for the capacity and things that we can bring to the table. We don't have enough women in managerial roles, sadly. In fact, the pay packages of men and women differ. The gap is great. The margin is too much. And this is also the system. So I think that there is that opportunity to get more women who are capable, who are able. Some organizations, we see these changes that are being made. Women are given some positions. And another thing is, how do these women handle such positions? Because I've seen women who have been given positions and they have failed to mentor younger women. And I find that, I think that is a problem. So I think women need to do more. Somehow, we have to do, if men are doing 10%, it's though they are men. It's like women have to do 200%. There's much more that's expected from the woman. And I think, as much as that might be a negative, I see everything as a positive. I see everything as an opportunity. Like Dr. Kunje Wala, she says, in challenges, she saw the opportunities. And that's essentially what I see as a woman, to break the barrier and to get to where we need to be.
Great thoughts there. I like the idea of one of the solutions, like you said, is mentorship. So if some women have earned, by the way, I prefer earn than giving. So again, we always have this conversation about give women the role. I mean, if you have a capable woman, she earned that role, that position. So I think again, society tends to think that, oh, we gave the women some. Meanwhile, the such women actually earned that role, that position. Yeah. So we should be thinking about earning these positions. If we show up to say, oh, we know we can handle this. We build our own personal capacity, self-development. You build your capacity, and when you do have, an opportunity, like you said, okay, so we want 30 women, but in this room we have 20 men and 2 women. Those 2 women, what are they doing to help other women find a space on the table? So I think that's a challenge to me and also to you as well, that whenever we find ourselves in a position or at the table, we should make room for other women and not just, because that's the men are not going to do it for us. The women who find themselves there should make room for capable women that they've identified. You talked about people, some of your bosses, they knew what you had, they knew that you've got it in you, and they pushed you even when you felt you weren't ready. So sometimes the job for us as women, from what I'm from this conversation, is we have to make room for other women. We should not wait for the men to make room for fellow women. That's the only way we're going to get there.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that again from here to do more.
Yes, there's also another side to it, and this is also something I've encountered personally. There are some women who feel that as you're pushing them to do something, you're antagonizing them. And there are quite a number of them. Some would say it's Gen Z behavior, but I do not understand what that means. And some of them come back and say, oh, Millicent, I thought you were being very mean to me, but now I see all the things that, you've said, they are true, and this is how, so there are a number of those women, and I don't know why that is. I think sometimes, where they're coming from, the environment influences that behavior. But I feel that as women in certain positions, we must continue to uphold what is right, and continue to build those that are behind us, are coming up.
Yeah, yes, I agree. And I think we will also take this opportunity to say again, don't give up if you've been pushing people and they sometimes you don't get enough appreciation for what you do. Sometimes you even get a backlash. Sometimes you're wondering, why did I even try? Why did I even bother? Don't let that discourage you, because there's one woman out there, one young woman or one middle-aged woman who has what it takes, who will just be the link to the next generation of women that needs to make an impact. So we keep pushing forward to bring other people on board. However, also, For the purpose of our colleagues who will be listening to this and other women, is if you are lucky enough to have people pushing you, you better allow yourself to be pushed into a bigger and brighter future. So, we women, we can be very sentimental. We can be very territorial.
Yes.
We can be very
so many issues.
Competitive.
Moody.
And that should
all
be
sorts.
a plus to us. Rather, so if you are competitive, let's be in competition to drag one another up. All right. So again, I'm challenging women who are watching this to say that if you are lucky to have people pushing you, you are not in competition with anyone but yourself. If you are lucky, I was lucky to have people pushing me. You were lucky. Millicent was lucky. So I have people pushing her. Look at where she is today. And to some degree, look at where I am. I'm still on my way, to something bigger. But look at where I am today because I gave in to the push. Some of the push were not palatable. Some of the push, you were probably misunderstood.
Indeed.
Some of the push, you even gave your best and, somebody blackmail you, but you just, you take the pain and you brush it off and you move on. So if you are lucky enough to have people push you, you better allow yourself to be pushed. Push yourself. As they are pushing you, push. I like to be very practical. Because if you do not push, don't expect that anybody will help you to sit at the table. Don't say they didn't give us the position. Nobody is going to give you anything. Nobody owes you anything. You have to push. And pushing does not mean, doing just anything or just doing anyhow, like we say. Your push should be, what are you bringing to the table? What is the expertise? What is the technical know-how? What is the skill you are bringing to the table? That's your push. I always tell people, when you should be so good so that people cannot ignore you. People cannot ignore you. People cannot, when they are making decisions, they want to give it to a man. The problem will be, it's so obvious that this woman is good. So how do we do this without, causing an uproar? Because it's obvious that this person knows it more than this person. So I like the conversation, and I'm also kind of lending my voice to it. And you see me talking passionately because these are things that also bothers me as well. Nobody is going to give us anything. We have to earn it, and we have to put in the work. Again, we can give each other a chance. Somebody does not have to be perfect. But if you see that there is, what you call, this person is trainable, this person has, is already portraying, showing the signs that they can do this thing, we will need to give them a chance. So as we wrap up, because I don't want to take much more of your time, talking about, the media profession. On a final note, what will you want to say to colleagues about what it takes to succeed? I know we've talked about some things. What else would you like to say to colleagues in the media space, whether you are in the digital or you're in the traditional, that's TV, radio, or print? What will you want to say to our colleagues about what it takes to succeed in the times we have found ourselves?
So for every woman, I would say that the very first thing, it takes the right mindset. And that is the mindset that you want to succeed, you want to be somewhere, you are ambitious, you have an objective, somewhere you're going to have that. You might not have the biggest picture of where it is, because God, as a Christian, I leave him to sort of map out. He knows tomorrow, I don't know, the next minute. So, but you need to know that there's a zeal, there is a goal, there's a reason why you're here, and something you need to do. The second part is women. We have, just like it takes a while to get dressed, our clothing, our hair, makeup. The other part is, the people we get married to, our partners along the way. You have a partner that does not recognize your talent, your zeal, your passion. That is a red, alert. That's a red flag.
Yes, that's a big red flag.
Yes, so understanding and getting a partner that recognizes that and supports you. That's the second, recipe for success. And then the very third thing is the essence of what you do, growing further. Life is a learning part. There's no point that you stop and say, oh, you're the boss of it all, you know everything. So that whole getting one certification today, going to school tomorrow, learning about something new. That keeps you fresh, keeps you new, keeps you refined. And I think that would, keep you succeeding in whatever it is you decide to do.
Thank you so much. I like to do a reminder, a recap, sort of. So you talked about objective, your goal, and again the God factor. I'm very big on the God factor. I'm very big with my faith, and I know that there's that divine hand that guides you, in what your purpose is. So that's also very important. Then get a partner, especially for us female. Get a partner if you have not yet settled down like some of us. Get a partner that will support, especially if you're a woman that has big dreams. You cannot afford to get a partner that is in competition with you. If you do that, he will just shut you down. But if you are the type that's not really, you just want to do your thing on a solo level, that's fine as well. I mean, we all will want different things, and that's okay. And then the essence of what you do. Why do you do what you do? As a media professional, whether as a female or male, why do you do what you do? That is what will keep you going. What is your why? That's what I always say. What's your why? What's your reason? Because it's that why that keeps you wanting to grow, wanting to expand, and wanting to do more. And then lastly, I'm very big on learning. I'm always taking courses. They don't have to be paid for, but I'm learning to take paid for courses now, because you can't get the meat of it in just free courses. Again, if you get paid courses, please do invest in yourself. That's good investment. So certifications, there's a lot. I mean, digital learning has come to stay. So no one has an excuse to say, oh, it's because I couldn't afford this. And there are lots of free courses, loads online. So avail yourself the opportunity to get some certification, to get some learning, and beyond the sky is your limit. So Millicent, I want to say thank you. A very big thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you too.
I celebrate you and all that you stand for and all that you do. By the way, Millicent authored a book, Legal Angle. Even as a lawyer, she didn't forget. She hasn't forgotten that part of her journey. Legal Angle. So where is that? Where's your book available? Where can our audience find your book?
So book is online, Okada Bookstore.
Okada
but
Bookstore.
Any other companies, yes. You can also find them at Gani Fahmi Library in Ikeja, Lagos, Alausa. And then people reach me online also to get some parts. And I have also a place in Maiduguri as well. But then people can always reach me on my social media at Milliscent Nnwoka, and request for copies and deliver.
Great. I celebrate you.
Will do.
Thank you so much. My regards to your family.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. And this is where we'll be wrapping it up on Media Talks series for this episode. I'm sure you gleaned a lot from our guests, Milliscent Nnwoka. I love to call to Adi Adamba. All right, please take away the learnings. We are rooting for you. Beyond the sky is your limit, and we are going up together. That's what I always say. So catch you on another episode of Media Talks series.